Welcome back, probes and pylons, to the low APM challenge. It's been a while. We've had some trials and tribulations with the ranking system. Many of you are either in Bronze, Diamond, or Masters, which are the 3 leagues left in the ranking system. But matchmaking works just fine, much to many players' dismay. And it's time to get back to it. I'm sorry. It's been so long since the last episode, but I hope we can pick up and build on where we left off. And I've got some new ideas on top of it. We should be around Diamond, around 3,000, 3,200 MMR or so, I think is where we left off last time. So right around that area where we start having to worry a little bit about what our opponent's doing. So we got some special things planned out today, but I'm just going to recap what we learned throughout the meta leagues. This is not, we don't stop here, we just start adding to it, but I think these are all the basic concepts, whether it's simply just building probes and pylons and getting 50 probes by 6 or 7 minutes. Honestly, the higher up you go, the closer you should get to 6, but early on 7. Like, what are you looking for when you're scouting? Did they expand by a minute, 2? Or are they still on 1 base? How do you tell when aggression's coming? And when and why you warp things in. Also, a big part, adding production and tech. That a lot of lower level players, they find themselves, and no, a forge is not tech, okay? Whether or not it's used for cannons, just getting a forge because you couldn't figure out what you... We'll get there. Basic micro ability use, you know, using control groups, which puts you ahead of like 95% Diamond Protoss. In my experience, if you use more than one or even one, to be honest, I'm not... and when do you actually need to change up your build? Like, when does the CIA, the Charge Lot Immortal, well, mostly Charge Lot, but Immortal Archon build, when does that stop working? And the answer is, here's the thing. Here's the neat part. It doesn't. But occasionally you might need to mix it up. And then, in Gold, we learned some matchup-specific builds. Like, we're going to go over walling off against Zerg, but in general, learning how to wall off against Zerg is going to help you against the other races and understanding what's a wall, what isn't, what works. This Reaper wall-off and Zerg wall-off guide will be linked. Thank you, Gemini, who puts these out there. But I'm sure now that you see these and you study them closely, you'll never screw up the wall again. So that's amazing. That's great. I'm excited for no one to ever send in another Angry Coach replay where they screw up the wall. Because now they have this handy-dandy, literally copy-pasted guide. So that's great. We're gonna go over that. But one more thing before we get into the games today. In the Diamond League, this is where I think we start learning from the best. Not every pro player is someone you should try to copy. Like, you guys, or me, should not try to copy max packs. But there is one player that I think is worth looking at for Protoss for sure, and it's Showtime. This is a replay here against Solar, who is one of the best Zergs in the world, against Solar from Home Story Cup 21. And the replay pack is publicly available. You can watch all the matches on your own time, but I chose Cosmic Sapphire. It's more of a macro map. We actually looked at the game a little earlier. Showtime is a player that he himself is so predictable, you can almost figure out what he's doing before the game starts. He's super consistent, which honestly is a bit of a downside in these longer series as a Protoss, but is great if you want to play a more stable style on the ladder. So, since he is against Zerg, he's using that 2-building wall on Cosmic Sapphire. I am kind of speeding forward until we get further in, but the things we're going to be looking at are pylon placements and tech timings, because I'm going to be taking this style. This is the hero style of 3 oracles into gateway units. Pretty much everybody since Hero, oh, by the way, for the first time in 5 years, Protoss won GSL. Hero beating Maru pretty convincingly in order to take it. Now, Hero is a little bit more advanced and very multitasking / micro-oriented, but I think Showtime has kind of a stable... Alright, so let's take a look at the wall to start. He's got that 2-building wall, just like the guide. And then the second pylon in the main. In Protoss versus Zerg, a lot of players are doing this now. This is to just have more space to build the rest of your tech later on. You ever found yourself like you can't jam enough gateways in there? I know, sometimes you're strapped for space. And honestly, it just makes it easier to build up the gateway count. You got to plan these pylons out in advance. Remember, it's always important to maximize your pylon efficiency and necessary infrastructure safety. And let's be honest here. The main base should not be at risk. You want to maximize your efficiency in the main and your infrastructure safety pretty much everywhere else. So it's a Stargate. This is all before Warp Gate, but I'm not going to be skipping Warp Gate in my builds. That is a much more like high level. I need those 50 gas. Here we're just going to hit the key points. So an Adept, a Stalker, and that Stargate. Stargate is used for some Oracles early in order to both scout, defend, like the Oracles, they do it all. But you do have to be at least somewhat active with them. So that's going to be the hardest part of this build, is managing the Oracles. I think the priority is to defend and secure your third base. Like, you're going to see Showtime constantly poking and prodding with them, but it is not worth it to slow down your build by 30 seconds just to kill a couple drums. That's the part that we're going to be cutting out for the sake of the low APM challenge and just in general that you can get away with at the lower levels. So now we're at 4.5 minutes. There's actually a lot that's happened. 3 Oracles done. Showtime, you see here, he jammed that Adept in where it's very hard for the Zerglings to get to it. There's a pylon in the geyser gap here. I think we're going to call it the GG. Building a robotics facility. He built another pylon. Look at this. Here we go. Look at the power fields here. He's got most of his main base powered with just these 3 pylons. We got somewhere around there. I don't know exactly if that's perfect, but give or take. So he has so much space to expand his production, yet if he deals with something like Nydus, he can still build cannon, shield battery, stuff like that. He's actually a little bit walled off in case of a Nydus, though eventually he'll probably have a pylon on the edge. But you see how he's left himself space for all this. And this actually, like, even in my games, at the relatively high level, I find myself, like, when I play enough Protoss, I kind of just start putting pylons in nice spots. But if you're not used to it, a lot of players will just slap them down. It'll be a little off center, it'll be a little off where you want it, but it's not a big deal, right? It adds up. Those few seconds you spend trying to figure out where to build stuff is a big deal and is something, like, it doesn't have to be. It costs you the same amount of APM to build a pylon as it does Showtime. It's just he knows where to put it. So planning these things out before makes it a lot easier later. It's actually lower APM to build the pylon in a better spot right now than to try to panic and slap some down later or scramble to figure out where your gateways are going to go. It actually lowers the amount of APM required. Yeah, you see that even though there's 10, 15 Zerglings here, can those Zerglings do anything? If that Sentry and that Adept were just sitting by the Nexus, they die. Here, they do nothing. The Gatekeeper pylon plus the Adept on hold position, yeah, you might get a probe or two, but let's look at the worker count. Showtime, even losing those probes, right behind Solar here. The beauty of the 3 Oracles is you can have 2 on the other side of the map. He actually brings them all back, but you can always have 1 back at home while still constantly scouting. I'm going to recommend that we just focus on one at home and one scouting. I don't know if I'm going to go for the 3 Oracle builds. That's really more focused on actually getting damage. This is a little interesting. Does he not have a warp in? Or was he supply block for a moment? I'm not sure. But he lets the Zerglings in to see. Like, look at how beautiful. Can I need to take a moment. Look at how, like, the architect here. Okay. Like, is that probe gonna teleport out? No, he actually walled his own probe in. Shoot, a true creator stops to admire their work. Okay? And I'm pretty sure the only reason he made that mistake is because he got the Zerglings in, which is not ideal. But you can see here already how easy it is to just add on production without scrambling to do it. Wait, it's not walled. There was a gap. I'm the fool. So, if he ever... I don't know how intentional that is, but, for example, if Zerglings ever get in the main again, he can warp in, like, Adepts, Zealots there, and have a little choke point. I don't know if that's 100% intentional, but... he's setting himself up for success. And 6 minutes, 4th base. He's already got, what, 5 more gates? Gonna be 8 gateways. All this off the oracles. The oracles give you a lot of ability to just kind of expand aggressively. Unless it's some sort of queen push, the Zerg can't really do much. You just have to be a little wary of Mutalisks. That's the big one. A Muta switch, even though there's a Stargate, like 12 Mutas showing up, definitely can ruin your day. That is the big threat here. So you see, going with the Triforce, like I was talking about earlier in the low APM challenge. But already these 2 pylons, the Gatekeeper pylons, and I imagine he'll put another one at the back as time goes on here. But this gives him the ability to warp in. You got to be careful that because when you warp in, you can't put your units on hold position until they finish warping in. So that can create some awkward situations, especially when charge is finished. Yeah, we are at the point where Showtime is starting to just slap down pylons. He's still putting them kind of spread out here, but we're just trying to get on supply block. And we will be going for blank as well. Banelings. Yeah, another thing, you need to leave. You gotta be careful. You don't actually wall in unless you're really intending to, because things like these Banelings can then you'll be trapped in a prison of your own design. But with this, he can run his probes away, and if he really needed to, could warp in like a Zealot or a Stalker to block out the Banes. It works from all angles. And then the Oracles come back, and they just kind of negate the Banelings. What, drop in the main? That was a Zergling drop, very likely. But the Oracles come back, spot defense, adds a cannon. Right now, Showtime's, he lost 6 probes. He plummets to dead even at 76. We're at 8 minutes, and yeah. So easily 50 probes by like probably 5 minutes, to be honest. Beautiful recall. 14 probes down, but how many gates are we looking at here? Only 8. Even though he's lost probes, I bet we're going to see more gateways added on soon, because this is just not enough. Ooh, gets the queens. At this stage, we're kind of past the more educational value. At this stage, the game has progressed to the point where it's a real pro match here. But before this, like, we'll just take stock again. That beautiful layout in the main. The natural has a couple pylons. He has this pylon back here, which That's partially in case he needs to build cannons, and partially for warping in if things get by the wall, and just a nice spread of pylons. Pretty much never, ever, ever having 2 pylons close to each other unless he's scrambling to get on supply block. Because why waste it? Today's going to be all about pylons. Okay. In case you didn't get it yet. There's the Templar archives. Winter, it looks like he's losing. This is proof it doesn't work. No, Solar is doing a good job of zoning things out. Solar's not, believe it or not, Solar is a little better than your average ladder hero. And this style, the beauty of it, is since it's not based on a bunch of super strong units, it's not nearly as bad when you lose a fight. A lot of the time, a lot of the death ball styles are like, well, I've lost the fight, so I've lost all my incredibly expensive units, and with it, likely the game. The gateway style is harder to manage overall, but it has a lot more room for error too. And this, while I don't think this style is quite as good in the other matchups, especially not Protoss versus Terran, it is the new shiny way to play against Zerg, and we are going to be working on it. I know the game doesn't go on that much longer, but it's kind of unclear who wins at this point. I actually don't know who wins. It's looking very good for Solar. It looks like he has the economy, but these fights can turn real quick. Solar's doing a great job splitting his units. I think if I was to backseat Showtime, his gateway count was quite low for a long time. 8 gates is not enough to really support it. He didn't add any Immortals or Archons in until he was already under a lot of pressure. So he didn't fill out that last bit of the army composition until, well, it was already almost too late. He still has potential, like, if Solar just wastes his Banelings or doesn't have them, the charge lots do an insane amount. They are incredibly cost-effective. Like right now, the upgrades, Solar has +2/+1 for his Zerglings and Banelings, and +1 ranged attack. Showtime has +3/+2/+1. He has an upgrade advantage over the Zerg. Always sending those charge lots out. Those are 3/3/2 charge lots. You cannot fight those really without Banelings. They're in. How many gateways has he fit here? He's got. It looks like he's going up to 10, 11 gates in the main, and it barely. He has still plenty of space. It's just. Think about your main base and how it's been before, and how cramped and confusing it gets. Not to shame you, but to shame you a bit. Oh my god. So, he's got 9 Archons. Solar's going for Mass Infestor to try to counter it. Which is kind of crazy. The Archon's trying to split. He drops at the back. But those are +3 shields. Fungal doesn't care, but you know what? Never mind. Showtime, it looked dicey, but the strength of this style is you can keep losing fights. Oh my, he wins. As long as you have the production and focus on keeping your economy, you actually end up with just such a strong gateway-based army. Robo Bear. Disruptors are definitely a I win more now move. Neural Parasite. Yeah, the Zerg borrowing Archons is probably the best move. Honestly, I think we couldn't have gotten much of a better example than that. So, let's get to actually playing. Thank you for tuning in. Like, subscribe before you fall asleep. And to start the season, I'm not going to veto any maps, but I will tell you what maps I probably would veto as a Protoss. I'd probably veto Waterfall, just because it's quite a cramped map. It's beautiful. I love watching it, but it is quite cramped, which can favor Protoss, but we're playing a more long-winded style. It's just the rush distances are so much closer. I'd probably think about vetoing Moondance, even though you have a pocket base. Same with Stargazers. These are kind of stylistic choices. They both have a version of a pocket base and a bit of an interesting layout, which can make it a little harder to be consistent. Data C is a ultra late game map where long rush distance and a lot of bases that expand away from each other. So your standard maps are Cosmic Sapphire, Tropical Sacrifice, and Inside and Out. But Inside and Out is a little bit on the smaller side too. But that's kind of where we're at with the map pool. Some diversity there, which honestly, as a Protoss player, not necessarily a huge fan of. So, let's see where the ranking system ends up. We got a Zerg player to test things out. Let me consult the Wall-Off guide. We're not there yet.
Welcome back to Broad's League.
And remember,
another game of StarCraft.
It is the low APM challenge. The limit, I don't know if we showed the limit. It's 100, assuming we're in low diamond. Here at that diamond 3 is 100. So for every 5 APM, I go over, starting at 100. For every 5 over, I'll be gifting a sub to the chat. So thank you for watching live. If you're not watching live, well, I'll gift you a sub to my second channel named Winter Gaming, where there's like long versions of me playing ladder, and show matches, and even other games. So that's absolutely free for anyone who clicks the link. All right, start with that. I was trying to bring up the wall thing, but I was already too late. This is why people are the way they are. They're like, I'll check it when I get in the game. Okay. Looks like we're off to a good start. You got a wall off next to the little pervert pillar there. That's the key part. He's expanded, and it's in the orange before 1 minute, which is a completely standard expo then. He's got gas. I'm gonna scout around once. Going to 3 in gas so I can get that Stargate quick. Consulting again. I'm just leaving the probe down here. We're not going to get too complicated on that. Second gas. And I'm gonna, this is my builder probe. I'm gonna leave some space, just a centered pylon there. Looks like he wanted to just take the third. Gonna chrono boost an adept out there and start my Stargate. Like I said, we're going for the plethoricals build. The Zerglings, if he's doing a normie build, come out around 240. So. I screwed up the wait. I screwed it up. But this should still be they wall off. It's just not as good.
You got no minerals. Good job keeping that money down.
I've already screwed it up. 0 for 1 so far. Nailed it.
We serve with pride.
This adept is here to kind of just keep him honest. Gonna get an oracle. Chrono boost that oracle. I'm gonna shade away here. I just want to see the drone count. He's making some Zerglings, but that's a lot of drones he's got there. Fall back. We're gonna use this probe to help expand here. I'm supposed to make a stalker next. So besides every part of it, I'm doing perfectly. Remember the gatekeeper pylon? Actually, it probably should have been on that other side.
Combat awaits.
That little pocket there.
Give us your command.
Chrono boost another oracle. I'm gonna get the other gatekeeper. With another oracle on the way, we'll send the first one across. One more chrono on it.
But have we learned anything? Can't put it there. We've been over. A power field is required.
So part of the downside is I can't warp in at the wall like this. I'm gonna need to add another pylon.
How can I aid you?
We require more Vespine gas.
We'll make a void ray here.
More pylons, more power too. Pylons are the powerhouse of the program.
The oracles got to do as much as they can. While they still have energy. If I lose this pylon, we're in real trouble town here, so. Charge up the void ray. And
Your probes are under attack.
so far, so okay. Get back to work.
Needs more energy. This game is
He's made more Zerglings, and you see why it's important to wall off, I think. Correctly.
your precious.
It took exactly 0 games to show us how important that was.
The firstborn shall persevere.
We're just gonna go to this base, which has a shield battery here.
Your probes. Defend them.
So a lot of the issue here I'm having is because I couldn't wall that in correctly. If I could,
Minerals.
we may have been just fine.
Good job keeping that money down.
I mean, at this stage, we may be
No
able
minerals for that.
to
Yes.
survive,
Minerals. Are you saturated yet?
and things don't always go smooth. I'm sending these across the map here.
Need more minerals.
He may have lied about the... No, he didn't. Oh, he canceled the third. Alright, that's fine then.
Ire shall be with
I'm gonna send these back.
Let your will be heard.
We're gonna shift click here. And it looks like they got in again, which is less than ideal.
Your pylons being deconstructed by the enemy.
So this is why it's good to do as I say, not as I do. But the Oracle opener, if I had walled off correctly, the game would have already ended in my favor.
Not enough minerals.
I mean, it's not going horribly as it stands. We're just gonna do some shift right click action. Yeah, that's oh my god. Couldn't have asked for a much better demonstration. On the bright side,
You took all the minerals
on the
from that
downside,
cluster.
you know, like everything else.
Extract.
So just do the right wall. This is why I spent 30 minutes at the start explaining how important it was to wall off correctly and how it's such a key part of playing at this level, and it will help you. I'm just showing you why. All right? I'm just really trying to drive that point home.
Not enough gas, but I'm sure you'll have more than enough later.
An omen.
How many lings are left? Wow. I got kind of jammed up in there.
An Erodine Rashagal.
But this is also the benefit of the oracles, because now, like, what can he do with Zerglings? Will this pop me out? I'm a genius. So you gotta be careful. You don't want to wall off your workers, obviously.
The threads of fate.
Well, I'm feeling confident enough to move out here with the oracles.
Mineral patch is gone, and it's not coming back.
Make sure we're mining some of that gas. We're gonna get
Need more
blink.
gas for that.
How can I aid you? Harmonized.
Make sure I'm not missing any tech over there. Because really, I think the only risk at this point is Mutas.
More gas. How many guys does that want to...
More chrono boost. Robotics facility.
Extrapolating strings. We need
Oh, Hydralus den. Okay. We need to focus. I got 58 probes. He's on 2 base. He can't use any more than about 50 or so workers. Not really, so.
A mineral field has been... You got no minerals.
That means it's time to stop worrying about probes. Start worrying about not dying. Build a shield battery. Another one over there.
an omen.
I'm actually going to set up a stasis ward or 2. Gonna add that robo in.
Mined out of that cluster. And still in the
Gonna
game.
get a Templar archives as well.
No minerals for that.
And also, just in case, because some players, they'll be like, well, I showed the Hydras, which means I can't go Hydras, so now I'll go Mutas.
Erodine Rashagal.
But there are the Hydras. Now let's make sure we got the pylons to make Archons here, because those are going to be important.
Our window is short. How can I...
Mhm. Do I have charge done? Oh, I never started it, so that's a no. That Zergling force field is quite a thing.
Upgrade is complete.
Alright, let's start a shield upgrade. We're going for the natural again. We're gonna bring the oracles in this time. Chrono boost these as much as possible.
Enemies attacking the
Overcharge.
let this happen.
We're gonna bring the probes into the fray here. So, as you can see, charge is an
They're
important
attacking your
upgrade
base. Give them some trouble.
that you shouldn't
Not enough
skip, because it's bad if you do. I'm just here to demonstrate how important that upgrade
Can't warp
is.
there.
Because a lot of players don't think about it.
Your base is crumbling under enemy attack. Research all done.
Is the void. Let our enemy know our fury.
Alright. Well, once again, because of a poor setup, I find myself in an awkward spot. But once again, well, we get another chance to do the wall in, so on the bright side, I guess.
Finished up.
Get +3 attack. Looks like he went with the build more of the same stuff strat, which is a classic tactic. He has no upgrades, so as time goes on, it gets better and better for me in the upgrade department. The more Archons I can put on the field, clearly the better as well.
Can't warp there. No minerals for that. Your pylon is under
Let's see if we can get behind these.
not enough minerals. Are you saying
As he tries to move the Hydras in, but shield battery overcharge can help out a lot here.
not enough minerals?
Yeah, and that was a demonstration of mostly what not to do. So let's see. We way overdid it. I wasn't sure. It's been a while. 123. 5 subs to the people. Way overdid it. But actually, wait a second. It places me in Diamond 2. So, in Diamond 2, our limit is 110. So it's only 3 over. On the bright side. So, this is why we don't play Gateway style. Play Sky Toss instead? No. If I had set up my wall correctly, then I would have won the game at the 7-minute mark. But because I put my pylon in the slightly wrong spot, and that is why I spent 30 minutes on it to start. Thank you, Sword Saint Zero, for the gift as well. But I thought we were trying to hit 100. I failed. We'll keep it there. Yeah.
This is
Even
an
in
alert.
Diamond 2, we got
Wonder Gaming
110.
has gifted 5 subs to viewers.
So generous of this fellow.
I'm sure it'll be better this time.
I'm sure it'll be better this time. That was an example of one APM going wrong, creating dozens more because of the problems it creates.
Need more minerals. You got no minerals. Good
It's a
job keeping
Terran.
money down.
So we're going to have a somewhat different style. I'm just going to be opening up with the Robo. I'm not opening Stargate against Terran. Stargate against Terran is still popular, but I think it is a lot more micro-intensive, because the Oracles have a lot of responsibility. They do in Protoss versus Zerg, but there aren't cloaked units that can one-shot them if they happen to go in the wrong spot with no warning. That Zerg has, much to their dismay. Yes, I'm talking about Widowmines. That's part of the reason why I don't recommend Oracles nearly as much as an opener. Let's see. How many gas? Just the one? Alright. Nexus. Go back. Gonna cancel this probe. Need to get that cyber core as soon as possible, especially if I go Nexus before core. Second gas. Now build another probe.
Good job keeping that money down.
This pylon's gonna be for a potential wall at the net. At least something. As long as half the power field is there, then you can still build something like a gateway at it. Alright, if he's gonna have a Reaper, it's out now and coming across the map. We're gonna open with an Adept and some Chrono. Get a robotics facility. Citizen's arrest. Gave him a little bit of a right click there. And down he goes.
Glory to the Daylong.
And just for funsies, we recall the probe. Give him some extra stress in his life. Gonna chrono boost once. I get a lot of space from killing the Reaper. Maybe he has a bunker, maybe not. We're gonna find out. Adept can kill 3 Marines. I'm not getting out here, but we're just gonna add 2 more gates. This has already bought me a ton of space. He's got an engineering bay here. Oh, it's a bio build. Okay. Citizen's arrest on both sides, but seeing that actually gives me the space to get a robotics bay. So we're gonna chrono boost out a single observer here. I'm gonna get another pylon. We're actually gonna get one that kind of backs up the first one. And I am not taking a third. This is a very key point. Because I need to get the splash damage. That's kind of what PvT is all about, is making sure you have splash damage in a timely manner. So, especially since I'm going Robo Bay, I need all this gas. I'm gonna get a shield battery that can help with the mineral line and in general. This observer will just be in the center here. Colossus on the way. Yeah. Chrono. Few stalkers to fill in. Spotter pylons here mostly.
Not enough minerals. Are you saturated yet?
We're gonna put that observer in siege mode. Gonna get extended thermal lance. His scan should see it. So
Not enough minerals.
as soon as he sees a Colossus pop out, he'll probably
How many no minerals for that?
try to switch it up. Hit a factory. Third command center. Okay. Well, I'll get my third. The question is, which third? Yeah, I think this one. Chrono, +1. We are at 50 drones. We get a couple adepts here.
Glory to the Daylong.
A third sentry. 3 sentries is usually enough to have force fields and to be able to
Minerals. Are you saturated yet?
get Guardian Shield. And yeah, it's time. First, we're gonna have a shield battery here that can potentially be overcharged. 3 more gates. 6 gates is a nice tech number Like, if you're going for heavy tech, like Colossi, you can't usually afford 8 gates, especially on 2 base. Get the Twilight here.
Research finished, but I'm still waiting on this. You got no minerals.
I'm gonna get it. These are just spotter zealots as well. Speaking of spotting, though, I'm gonna get a couple pylons. These are kind of made to die.
Not enough minerals. Are you saturated yet?
We're gonna have a cannon and a battery in the main. And get one more observer out here. And see what he's up to. My first upgrade, I think it's gonna be charge. Honestly, with 3 Colossi and +1 on the way, I'm gonna poke him. Like, if he doesn't have tanks or an overwhelming amount of medevacs,
Upgrade completed.
I can just attack here. Like, +1. In fact, let's get a little fancy. Oh, what is that? A prism. Ah. Is he building a planetary? We're gonna target fire these Marines here. That's a planetary that just finished. Which means we don't need to fight into it. I'm gonna control click my stalkers onto the Vikings. He's got a lot of bio here, so.
Mineral patch is gone, and it's not coming back.
We end up with a lot of minerals.
Mineral field depleted.
Make another Colossus. Get a Templar Archives. 2 more gates to go to 8. A 4th base. Charge is done. But no reason to attack into a planetary. Get Blink. Maybe a real warp prism would be helpful.
Pylons. Need more pylons.
Maybe some real pylons as well.
You must
Alright, a couple more. These observers are giving pretty much perfect vision so far, so no reason to switch that up. I like getting a second robo. Relatively, well, a lot of players will just go 2 robo right off the bat as well.
Mind out of that cluster. Instant.
Take a look at his upgrades. 1-1. I thought I built a second forge. I did not. Hero's shown us just build some immortals in the mix. Is always never a bad plan.
Upgrade's been completed. Need more pylons, or free up some supply.
More pylon. More gate.
More pylons, more power.
Next priority is Archons.
Gas for that.
I have vision of pretty much whatever he's doing here, so.
A mineral field has.
Still at 1-1. +3 attack.
Cluster, you thief.
I get armor. I'm not gonna shy away from shields upgrades though. How many probes? 88. That's too many. Actually, let's stop probe production.
Research is complete.
You can see him moving out. He's made no effort to stop those observers, so.
No minerals for that.
Intriguing.
Looks like he's going right down the center here. Yep. The Colossi, I'm going to target on the Marines. Warp in some charge lots. He's going to land the Vikings, but that's how we got all those extra gates. And no reason, like, I'm on 4 base right now. So
Need more minerals.
my objective at 4 bases against less is to keep him off of 4. Especially, remember, he built a planetary at his 3rd, which means he's not very comfortable moving out. We're going to rewarp in a couple sentries. Guardian Shield is huge.
Not enough gas.
Some
I'm sure you'll-
Archons. Chrono boost on the forges. Add Colossi back in as well, because he lost his Vikings. Cannon, shield battery, another cannon. We should have vision of whichever angle he decides to take. Looks like he's going to go right up the center again, which I should be able to just win the fight. We're going to find out. Upgrades. He only has +2, +1, so. Warp in some over here. More immortals in production. And how many immortals? I think that's enough to push the planetary.
Upgrades finished up.
Yeah, don't sleep on immortals. Colossi are good, but they're pretty fragile and they're obvious targets. Colossi can really punish them if they push too far, but immortals are who you settle on. We may have pushed it a bit. No, there we go. Despite his nearly 3 times as much APM and 4 times as many or infinitely more X's in his name. Yeah. You know how much APM it costs to have an observer sieged up? Past the first minute. 0. That's the key there. Which is pretty cheap. Alright. We got a Zerg. Maybe we can wall off correctly this time?
One way or another, you got this.
Alright. Jimmy, bring up the guide. Okay. I mean, we gotta adapt it slightly.
You must construct additional pylons.
Hitting the corner with it. Chrono boost. Is rapid fire warping disabled? I don't have rapid fire disabled, but I usually don't use it. He's complimenting me. Well, he does have a Kaczynski portrait. And he's talking it all. So, be ready for the roaches. Not to stereotype, but... to stereotype a little. The Kaczynski, the starter portrait, which is rare for a truly... for someone who hasn't been around the block once or twice, usually doesn't stick with it. Like, most players, I think you guys as well, have looked at like, oh, these cool portraits. The Kaczynski portrait, especially in Diamond Plus, indicates someone is less interested in the customization and more interested in, oh, these accounts are free, eh? At what MMR do compliments become BM? I think somewhere in Diamond. Unironically here.
Pylons are the powerhouse.
It's somewhere in... I don't know exactly where, but somewhere.
You require more Vespene gas. Probes are under attack. It's a disaster. Enemy is attacking the probes. How
Alright.
could you let this
Get
happen?
that adept out there.
Let none deter us.
That probe may be trapped.
Save those probes. You can't throw cannons
Very
around.
sad.
I'm here in the shadows.
We're gonna get a second adept to follow this up, and then start the Oracle. Chrono boost once on probes. This is awkward.
Let your
Chrono boost once on the Oracle.
car be not.
Get that second gateway. We're gonna scout the main here.
Yes, Executor.
He's made several more Zerglings, which is a little concerning. But all the more reason to get out there as quick as possible and get that base.
Oracle perceive.
We can copy exactly what we saw from Showtime.
Iron shall be reclaimed.
More pylons, more power to you.
You require my...
You got no minerals. Good job keeping that money down.
He has Overlord speed, which almost always indicates he's less interested in all innings. So that's interesting and good to know.
Not enough minerals.
We interpret. Glory to the Daylong.
Our next move is going to be basic tech, Twilight, and a forge. Let's see what we can get here. Target the larva. Why not?
It is destined.
That is suspiciously few drones at that base, though. But he is getting the forge, not forge, well, a forge equivalent and a roach one. So get a robo, these two gases, one more pylon.
Need more pylons.
The base itself counts as a pylon. We're gonna get blink. In fact, I'm a little heavy on the gas here. I mean, a little light. The opposite of heavy. +1. Chrono boost the things. Rally here. Gate. But I do actually want some gates over here to create a bit of a wall. How many times do I have to do this? So that's 5 more gates. Yep, that's the number we're looking for. I'm gonna put a stasis here. Ooh, here we are.
Army under attack. Select all.
Come home. This isn't very nice. This was not very committed, though. Cannon over there. Need to make sure we still have that wall off. Yeah. There's a reason we make those oracles. Chrono boost. I'm actually just gonna queue it up. We're gonna get 2. I'll get a cannon, a battery. Make sure we got an adept on hold position.
Mineral patch is gone.
And a
Can't put it there. We've been over this.
with those gatekeeper pylons.
Research
I'm
is
gonna
done.
go block the next base. We're not gonna build any more.
Up upgrade is all done.
You just decided to continue?
More pumps.
I need charge. Can't be forgetting that.
You require my skills.
You got no minerals. Good job keeping that money down.
We're gonna send one straight across, one sticks with the army. I'm a little scared of the mutas. Though I probably shouldn't be, to be honest. Build these where they won't block, ideally.
A mineral field has been depleted.
I return to serve.
Get a prism here. This is just a scouting pylon.
Mind out of that cluster. And still in the game, you must construct additional pylons.
The firstborn shall
Need more pylons.
I am the voice of the eclipse.
He did take this. He doesn't have any anti-air there.
Not
Important
enough
to note.
minerals.
Just start burning it. Get that warp prism hotkeyed. I don't have nearly enough gateways.
How many times?
How many times have we
can't
talked
work
about this?
Can't work there.
glory to the daylight.
Neat research all done.
Well, I should be able to kill this on the next set.
Your pylon is under siege.
I get another robo.
Warp there. Okay,
The threads of
Do I have enough energy? That should be enough.
mineral field.
Got the hatch. Could you guys not chase across the whole map, please? Shield upgrade. Gonna be real focused on those archons. Quick rapid fire there.
Your upgrade is complete.
How many probes? 90 probes! Too many probes!
the firstborn shall persevere.
You know what? With the counterattack, I'm gonna bring an archon. Get a couple over there.
Need more pylons. More pylons, more power to you.
How can I aid you?
Can't
Oh,
warp
this is
there.
not very nice.
You require.
+3 weapons. How many gates? Still not enough gates.
You're all mined out of that mineral field.
You seek guidance?
That's a lot of roaches.
State thy bidding.
Need more pylons, or
We're gonna bring this in. We're gonna siege it up preemptively over here.
You must construct additional
Need more pylons.
pylons are the powerhouse.
Looks like you might want to go brood lords here. No wait, he doesn't have the tech. He's microing on this side. We're gonna do a little micro of our own.
Upgrade completed. Your forces are just a little bit better.
Get the greater spire. Gonna warp in over here.
Mineral patch is gone.
Oh yeah.
You took. You have engaged the enemy. Your warriors are under attack.
I killed the spire and he doesn't have a hive, so we should be mostly okay there. More gates. I don't know why he got corruptors.
You seek guidance?
to counter the oracles.
Can't put it there. We've been over this.
I'll just retake here. I'm gonna get a fleet beacon and another Stargate, which is just the inevitable follow-up here.
Not enough minerals. Are you saturated yet? You're all mined out of that mineral field. No
I
minerals
gotta
for
spread
that.
this army out. It's quite a chonky army. That's a technical term.
Mined out of that. I need more minerals. Mineral field depleted.
I am the heart.
Upgrade. It actually worked this time.
Well, we go Sky Toss, because what are the big threats? One is a Mutaswitch, another is Lurkers. The ground army beats almost everything else. And I mean, technically, Broodlords as like a very stretch goal. Ah! Are we going for 110? Ruined! I knew it was a bit much. The Oracle Micro was a bit much. But I was right on the Roaches. I did, even though it was... Like, he wanted to pretend like he wasn't doing a big Roach all-in, but... It went so poorly, it was totally a macro build, bro. Don't, like... Yeah, at about 40-something drones. It happens. It happens. But you can see there the utility. The biggest threat early is just dying. Like... Very simply. I mean, isn't that the threat in life in general? But,
This is an alert.
if you can get past that
One of the enemy
phase,
has gifted 2 subs to viewers.
the rest is just don't panic. Like, you can't let them... You don't... Just because they attack doesn't mean you need to counterattack. In fact, because of the way Zerg works, if they attack and you don't take economic damage,
Okay, maybe
most
a
of the time, you're ahead. Just
No
simply
minerals for
because
that.
they sacrificed economy just to even accomplish that. Alright, wait. I gotta get the guide out. This one is a standard, or should be relatively standard. That should be good, right? Thank you.
Soldiers Veg just donated $10.
Soldiers.
Congratulations, Winter. May you happiness and prosper.
Yes, that. Oh, no, that's, well, yeah, you know what, that's right.
Need
It's
more
fine.
pylons, or free up some supply.
Usually it's good to build the gateway first, the thing that's furthest out first. Like if you want an order for it. So that way, 1, you know it's in the right spot, and 2, it's finished. Because it's usually the hardest to defend. Use that as kind of a baseline. Alright, send that 20th probe down. Nexus. I'm just gonna patrol between the third bases here. So I'm adapting. I'm altering the setup because I screwed it up a little. Let's hope. I think I should still be fine. It's just not perfect. Famous words. Famous words. Not last words. I refuse to say that. But just words in general. Alright, Cybercore done. Start the Stargate. Get an Adept. Chrono the Adept. Rally down. Build the Warp Gate. Go home, Sam. The
Your
probe.
probes are under attack.
This ain't a fighting probe.
Your probes, defend them.
Get a Stalker. Move Adept out. Second Gateway.
Need more minerals.
Yep, it's fine. As long as there's that gap and it isn't on a corner. If the corners touch, which you can see if I can show, like, if it's on the corner of something, usually that creates a larger gap. Don't ask me to explain geometry. It just does. Because I said so. That's why. Alright, let's go home. Gatekeeper pylon. Need to... Ooh, I'm vulnerable now. He should have speed done. And that pylon is slightly misplaced.
Not enough minerals. Are you saturated yet?
Chrono boosting. We have the Oracle.
Harmonized.
And now there's not enough to threaten.
Oracle perceiving.
Research complete, but have we learned anything?
We're gonna send this across for scouting and keep one at home.
Pylons.
Forge.
Can't warp there.
Twilight.
The threads of
That's an interesting amount. I'm gonna put a battery at the natural. Get my second pylon set. There's a lot of Zerglings you got there, my friend.
dimensional strength attuned. Where shall we? Let us begin. How can I teach you? The first shall persevere. Give us your command.
We're gonna get a cannon. We set this up so there are gaps in the minerals.
Then Erodine wash across. We serve.
Thank you for the force field. That's not great though.
How many?
Abandoned ship. And that is the big risk here.
You got no minerals. Enemies attacking your base. How could you represent? Enemies in your base.
We'll see if I can get that, but doubtful.
Not enough minerals. Are you saturated yet? Not enough minerals.
See if I can get him to panic a little. Yeah.
Save those probes. No minerals, no cannons. Can't put it there. We've been over this.
Blink. We're remaking the Twilight, the Forge. Gonna move these down.
Need more minerals.
You know
An
what?
alert.
We'll just hold.
Master Talus is
Well-
not chilling.
Who needs a main when you could have, you know, anything else?
You got no minerals. Good job keeping that money down.
His queen should be on the other side here, so we have a chance to get some economic damage. Ooh.
I see. The stars align.
Let our enemy know our fury.
Get charge, +1. He just used F2 there, so
Are the powerhouse of the Protoss.
shift right click. We might need a robo as well. Get revelation here.
How can I be?
Rip main base. It tried.
This is an alert.
Jim Keely is now chilling.
The threads of fate lie bare. You seek guidance?
Alright.
Give up.
Try to retake my main.
Need more pylons.
Right there, eh? I really need those pylons.
Base is under attack. Didn't I teach you to put those in a power field? You must construct additional pylons.
+1's done.
Your upgrade is complete. Not enough energy.
I did lose a lot of potential gateways, but the classic re-expand to the main play here.
The threads of fate.
There's obviously a creep tumor somewhere out there, annoyingly.
Let us begin.
Make sure we're not blocking, except keep the Zerglings out. We're patrolling the main in case he decides to get spicy again. No, are my oracles still alive? Yeah, let's send those out first before we get too crazy. Yeah, I predict Mutus.
You require more Vespene gas.
A small chance of Ravagers, but with all that gas, he may try to exploit my... Well, I don't have Archons yet, is a key point, so...
You took all the minerals from that cluster, you thief. Mineral path is gone, and it's not coming back.
Modulus.
Research complete, but have we learned anything?
Thank you.
A power field can't warp there. Regulation.
I think it's Robo Bay time. And Storm. Just Revelation and back off for a bit. Shield upgrade. Link to the side so the charge lots can get through. Do I have a prism? Yeah, the prism needs to go up here. Because while I could go for the main, I think the best play
More gas.
is to simply
More gas.
attack both the key bases.
How many times?
Gonna save those for Storm. He's wandering his obies. Put my oracles on that 6 hotkey. That's what I usually use for him.
You must place that, you know.
He's gonna send those units back, so we're just gonna back off.
Research finished, but I'm still waiting on high-sec auto-tracking.
I'll go back over here. Using the patented not always select all army technology, we can find a lot of success.
You took all the minerals from that cluster, you thief. Warp there? Oh.
I return to serve.
You can buy the patent with a subscription on my second channel, Winter Gaming, today.
Upgrade completed. Your forces are just a little bit better.
Otherwise, it's unfair use.
You require my skills. I am here in the shadows.
You're all mined out of that mineral field. You mined out of that cluster. It's still in the game. Not enough gas, but I'm sure you'll have more than enough later.
Let me go through here.
State thy bidding. My charge.
You're all mined out of that mineral field. Can't put it, that mineral patch is gone, and it's not coming back. You took all the minerals from that cluster, you thief.
More gateways. Why not a dark shrine? I'm gonna run away. Gonna run back.
Research all done.
Please stop, sir. We're just gonna right click, make sure this is going down.
Warp there. You need a power field for that. Can't warp there. Regulation. Mineral field depleted.
All right. I'll give him the fight. Did I get a little excessive with the abusing the select all army hotkey? Maybe. Did it feel very good? No comment. Did I overdo it because of it? Maybe a little bit. Yeah, 123. It really feels to me like, I mean, the point of this series is to do everything I need to do without excess. And that was a little excess. Like, we could have at some point just A-moved it. He did go for a Nydus. I did have to re-expand my main. Why do you keep going blink into charge? Because if my opponents were not donkeys, aka diamond players, then blink is better. It's just I keep getting attacked at very weird timings where the stalkers don't really come into play. Like you saw well, you might not have seen, but at the start, we looked at a Showtime game. And against like a medium to high economy Zerg, the blink stalkers, essentially, if you go charge into blink, one, you're vulnerable to things like potentially mutas, and two, charge lots against a competent Zerg player are not great, like, to rush out, because roaches and banelings can counter them, so the stalkers are kind of like this you have to respect the stalkers, and they keep roaches and banelings from just kiting the zealots all day. Yeah, like, so that was his economy. The Zerg is not the red. It's the blue. There. That's the drone count, which is not high. Kiting with banelings? Well, no. So much. What I mean is being able to get value no matter what. Like if you go mass charge lot and they're like 4 banelings, they're probably going to hit a lot of charge lots. But if you have stalkers, they'll potentially be able to kill them before they close the distance. And that's a very sanitized example, but the stalkers have value. It's not just stalkers, to be clear, but once you get better and better, you can find more opportunities to get things done with the stalkers. The problem is, a lot of Meta League players focus on getting things done with the stalkers, and then doing, you know, the rest of the build. Whatever it might be, whether it's building probes, getting more gates. It's like, no, I have these stalkers now, and that's the risk. What's important is to know when you have the opportunity to do so. Like, they're just not great units on their own, but they're kind of like, I don't know, like lentils in soup. They seem important because they're always there, but on their own, it's both boring and concerning and sad. It's like lentil soup. It's like, okay. And? No, that's it. That's all we had. Lentil soup is great. Found the stalker player. No salt, no nothing. No charge lot sprinkle. Just lentils. So, PvP though is a mess, and I'm not confident I'm gonna win. But like in most, like I have a plan going in all of these, but we're looking for a second pylon. Where's that second pylon? It's in his main. All right, Tahaka. I'm going for 2 stalkers. And I'm going to try to, like... Okay, I'm going to try to expand. I actually don't really have a PvP build. It's kind of just, is he doing something too crazy or just kind of regular crazy? And then working from there. So I'm not actually building more probes. I'm at 23, but I've at full saturation. We're going to move this guy back. I'm going to get a sentry and a stalker now. I didn't actually scout. I'm now realizing I didn't actually scout whether he was getting a depths or not either. Got to get a shield battery in case of Oracle.
Enemies in your base. Looking for your
Oh, this is even more awkward now.
How many times? Still can't work that.
Because I've got to back off from here. He does not have an expo, which is confusing. I feel like I'm gonna need the robo. Yeah, cancel that. Get another gate. And get a shield battery back there. He built 2 more stalkers. I'm also gonna build a pylon back here, because this is Protoss versus Protoss. So
Research is done. Your forces are just a little bit.
I need to have this probe at the wall here.
Need more minerals.
We're scouting for proxies first. That's the first. Alright, hello, sir. He doesn't know that's not real, so that's good. There's a fucking void ray in my base, so I need to keep some units down here.
Not enough minerals. Are you saturated yet?
No more probes. And there it is. Okay. That is something. Permanent damage there. Very good. And any damage I can do. We still want that immortal.
up keeping that money down.
I'm here in the shadows.
No minerals for the...
We're gonna warp in a zealot here. If he ever combines his forces, that becomes even more of a potential issue here. It's a tough part.
Need more minerals.
We got one.
I'm here.
We're just gonna walk up with the Immortal. I can't be attacking from down here.
Shadows.
Apparently this is out of range.
This is an alert.
Yes, we'll keep him fighting.
Box 89 is now chilling. Here's some of Jeff's money.
He's target firing the Immortal, which means he's losing his Void Race and the game. So welcome to PvP. So he's doing something, because they always are. But what's it gonna be? It's useless. Don't even try to predict. Did you say double Stargate Void Ray? Well, you might have said Stargate. Also, he had a Nexus. By the way, in case, just he also had a Nexus. Did you say Proxy double Stargate Nexus Void Ray? Yeah, probably not. That was probably for photon. I mean, not photon overcharge, the battery overcharge. Thank you, Sky Fox. Well, there we go. Under the 110. Did anyone have that on their bingo card? So yeah, you might be like, well, when does PvP start to become like more predictable? And the beauty of it is it doesn't. In fact, the further up you go, the worse it gets. Because Protoss units are real good. Lower than I figured it would be. So here, I did a test earlier on. A lot of people don't understand how much APM is just building probes. Like, you build, let's say 80 probes. That's 70, let's say 70 probes past your first 12. That's 70 APM over like 6 minutes. That's already over 10. And then selecting the Nexus itself before you build the probes. You probably do that a few dozen times. That's another, you've already got 15 APM, just probes. If you're consistently building them. That, just probes. That's 10% gone. Just probes. Let alone pylons, which is another, like, select the probe, select the pylon. It's another couple dozen. I guess 20-something. You want to build any units? Well, I'll add a few more, and then we're already down under the budget's already low for any sort of micro, and we haven't even built any units yet. But the beauty of it is, like, that's why even in the shorter games, almost always lower APM, even though it seems like a lot is going on to your average person, because there's not that extra 20, 30, 40 of macroing. It's literally just micro, which, even when there's a lot of it, is still not that much. Don't you dare.
Not enough minerals. Are you saturated yet?
Never trust a probe. He scouted so early. He does not... Yeah, he doesn't have... In fact, he's only got one gate, which is illegal. That is what we like to call an illegal move. May have just forgotten his second gate, which is what we call a bad move. No, this is why your APM goes up when you don't think about it. Like, when people say, I want to raise my APM. No, well, if you're... 95% of those people are like, I don't know how to raise my APM. Well, 95% of those people are probably supply blocked at 84 supply, microing Blink Stalkers or Metavacs or Zerglings, building no more workers, building no more production, no more infrastructure. So the natural way to raise your APM is actually just playing macro. Not some sort of like crazy micro style. It's macro. That's the most consistent. Because it raises the water level, essentially, of everything. Like, your APM will be naturally higher if you're just building more probes. That's just... Numbers don't lie.
I am here.
Remember, optimistic Nexus.
State thy bidding.
But... Yeah, we're gonna get this. Here we are. Welcome to PvP. That's a gateway, so it's a 3-gate.
Not enough
Interesting. It's always something. Always. Even when it isn't. That's something in and of itself.
Can't work there.
I built this pylon in a bad spot to have like a multi-purpose battery. But I should have a much quicker Nexus. Assuming this wasn't like a macro cheese. Which is hard to pull off. I'm gonna start with the Twilight here.
It's those fancy.
No, fuck.
Your research is complete.
Robo it is. He hasn't touched his expo.
Disaster.
It's like he's rushing Blink.
No minerals for that.
So yeah, the Robo, we get a couple extra pro. Well, I'm gonna make sure it isn't DTs. And there's no making sure. There's only... I have so many pylons. Yeah, 30 probes should be enough here.
Didn't I teach you to put those in a power? You got no minerals. Good job keeping that money down.
You can't afford that.
I stalk.
You're gonna try.
Time for battle.
His units are not... Oh, they are at home. That's probably a prism he's building. Immortal first. Just constant chronos on the Robo.
Not enough minerals.
I am here in the shadows. I am eager to strike. I return to serve. I am here.
There's a chance he has a hidden base. But I think it's relatively low.
I will comply.
Another immortal.
No minerals for that.
We'll have these as
Need more
mostly my
minerals.
backup plan.
Glory to the Daemon. The firstborn shall persevere.
I got charged. Target fire the stalkers.
Now that's the command I've been waiting.
In his defense, his name, what was that? Well, he tried a 3-gate, and it failed. So he just did an all-in that I had scouted for a minute and a half, in case you have the attention span of a diamond Protoss. But at least he's keeping me on point. All right, so looks like we're gonna go through the Protoss gauntlet. On the bright side, like PvP isn't my favorite mirror matchup, nor is it my least favorite.
This one will be
It
better.
simply is, but I do appreciate it. because unlike Terran versus Terran especially, and Zerg versus Zerg to an extent, when you lose, you kind of just lose. Like, the game kind of just ends. Because Protoss has half a dozen ways of negating Defender's advantage. With Warpins, with Stargate units, Adepts, Blank, Warp Prism. Like, so usually when you're at a disadvantage, that quickly turns into a loss.
Need more pylons.
As opposed to, like, especially TVT is the biggest offender here of, well, I'm winning, but also he's got 2 siege tanks. Like, so it could be a while. I don't think it'll be. It's gonna be a process. His name suggests DTs. It is possible. His name suggests, where the hell is this gateways? What the fuck is this? Pardon my French, but fuck. Is this? It's either a, no, it can't be a Nexus first. No, we're walling. What's up, Proxy Gate? I have no idea what I'm looking at. This is madness. Yeah, it's a straight up like, it's always something. Like I said. The question will just be, I think it's Adepts is the play, yeah. And then, like, sir, stop. We're gonna have to do some micro here.
No minerals for that.
Glory to the Daemon. Horns alive.
Your probes, defend them.
Najakar, enough. Let your will be heard. Forward. Give up. Combat awaits. Let none. Yes.
I played this in StarCraft Master.
Need more energy.
The firstborn shall persevere.
That's a Stargate, by the way.
Combat awaits.
Needs more energy. This game is tiring.
Iron shall be.
He's building a shield battery.
It shall be done. The Templar march.
I am here in the shadows.
Faith before.
Not enough energy.
You require my skill. Stay. We are one. We are the blades of fire. I am the voice.
We may have this. It's gonna get real dicey here in a moment. No. I've got Warp Gate, and he really fucked that one up. Yeah, we gotta get rid of the shield battery.
All done.
I think I win this. It's always fucking something. APM is gonna be a bit high. What did I say? What did I say? Despite when a lot of Metal Leaguers think the APM's gonna be high because of so much micro, they think of micro as APM. It's not. 110. It was higher than last game. But we did not go over. I was a little closer. It was higher than I thought. I thought it'd be like 103 or something. Adepts. Yeah, Adepts are pretty APM intensive, despite everything I said. Because even moving them around is half a dozen. The budget. Alright, the APM budget. Okay. We've got here's your APMs, okay? So, a lot of people think that this is micro. Okay, no, we're not doing it like that. Like, they think, that's at least that much. Well, they think a lot more than that. That's, okay, don't worry, I got this. I've got a plan for this, don't worry. You sound worried. No, not worried at all. Okay. I'm budgeting. This is what budgeting is. So. That's macro. That's macro. Okay. No. Red. Go to red. Actually, no. We'll make the red micro. Okay. Alright. And then... let me finish my budget. There's micro. All right. This is... now, I can't give you the exact rundown. I'm sure the SC2 replay stat's good, but... I would say... right here, that much, just probes and pylons. All right. At least that much. Units. And buildings, which aren't pylons, by the way. And then over here you have things like upgrades, chrono. You have, I guess micro is more scouting, but vision, etc. Like, I guess that could be under micro, but it can be a very passive thing as well. These are also some of the most micro-intensive things. Going for vision with, like, observers. I guess it is a little misleading if I put it like that, but... and then here... right click, target, etc. Literally just selecting stuff. Types of unit. That is where the brunt of micro APM comes from. Is just literally selecting the control groups, the types of units, because each one of those is an action. And a lot of people don't realize, because that's another way to raise your APM is use control groups, because every time you rotate through control groups, you're selecting a different thing. And even if you don't issue a command, that counts as an action. Now, obviously, you don't want to just sit there like your average Diamond Terran and just sliding their hand across the keyboard, but that is what it boils down to. Just using another, like one more control group can have a massive impact on your APM, whether you're trying to keep it low or high, because if you're switching between those two, that adds dozens more a minute usually. Something like that, maybe. So, there you go. And with that, we're going to come back and we're going to answer some questions. Because We've been at it a couple hours. So, and it's been a while, so I want real questions. Good questions. And this is the part the YouTube people can skip over. Like, I got all the information. I'm going to ask the same damn questions. We may be playing some more games. I'll see how I feel, because I want to keep it really focused. I think we've kept it focused here, and we're going to be back to it. This is not... we're not going to go another 4 months before doing more LOW APM challenge. But first, a quick advertisement. Thank you for watching. Hey everybody, I'm Winter, and I'm here to talk to you about Prime Gaming. Yes, did you know if you have Amazon Prime, you can get Prime Gaming absolutely free? Yeah, so many exciting benefits. Free loot for all those shitty mobile games that you're embarrassed to admit to playing. You got, this month, StarCraft Remastered is free. So that way you can get dunked on by Koreans with graphics that only look 15 years old instead of 25. The technology's still 25 years old. But wait, did you know you can subscribe for free with Prime Gaming every single month? Yes, absolutely free. And if you don't do it right here, right now, you're losing money from me. So subscribe with Prime Gaming. What do you have to lose? But wait, subscribing for free? That's kind of like YouTube. That's a good point, dear viewer. Did you know on YouTube, I have not one, but 2 channels? If you haven't yet checked out the Winter Gaming YouTube channel, which is different than the Winterstarcraft, making use of that lack of search engine optimization, the Winter Gaming channel will feature essentially all the stuff the algorithm will hate me for. Very long, like, ladder videos, other games, stuff that YouTube has made it clear time and time again that it does not like when you try to post it with a bunch of pro StarCraft guests. So, check it out. Find the link in the description, or, you know, just type it in. It's not that hard. Oh, type it in. Okay. Thank you. Good night. All right. Let's do some questions. I want to point out once again that Home Story Cup replay pack I may remember to put in the description. We'll see. Jimmy will remind me for sure 100%. As well as the Wall-Off guide from Gemini. Here, which, I mean, or just, you know, pause the video here on the one you want. If you're too lazy to click it, which was helpful even today. And remember, just to reiterate the most important things, pylon placement, pylon efficiency, necessary infrastructure safety. Your pen is raiding. Gotta maximize it, like Showtime. Be like Showtime. I know none of us are gonna get there, but we gotta try, I think, is the important part. And I think I demonstrated pretty well how just a few adjustments can make all the difference, no matter what matchup you're in. No matter it's Protoss versus Protoss with whatever flavor of cheese early on, just making sure you have your build nailed down so you have units out in time. Protoss versus Zerg, where literally pixels count. They really count. Each pixel you're off is another few dozen ladder points you're liable to lose. And then in Protoss versus Terran, where we kind of mix it up and focus on map vision and splash damage, as opposed to expanding quite as aggressively, because those salty Terrans will get 275 APM of spamming stutter step down the mid lane, which is, I mean, just, you know, your average diamond Terran. So, no more SC2. No, SC2 is actually free, believe it or not. On the Battle.net launcher, which I know is not everyone's most excited thing to open, but if they haven't made it through this entire video and figured that out, well, let this be for the 5 of you out there who didn't realize that the game is free. Well, at least the multiplayer is free. Then now let this be that revelation. So How to be more consistent / efficient with macro. I don't know if it's a dumb question. That's not a dumb question. It's a hard question, and anybody who tells you like they have the answer for you and in less than a sentence is lying. But with that said, in a sentence, probes and pylons. It's been true since 1998. It's true now. We already talked about how the APM matters, but never stopping probe production and already knowing where you have those pylons. At the beginning of this video / stream, I went over Showtime. Showtime, he's nicknamed The Wall. Okay, and it's because he has such, like, his setup of his base is so solid, it makes it incredibly difficult. Like, before you even fight his units. So difficult. And I kind of break down very basic. It's not that hard. Like, placing pylons is not a high APM move. It's not hard to figure out where Showtime put his pylons and put them in the same damn place. It's harder than, it definitely is harder than it looks, but it isn't that difficult. So, a big part of consistently having better macro is not handicapping yourself by discovering where your pylons go beforehand. You don't get to be creative, really, with it, because there are a certain set of places you need to cover, and there's a certain, essentially, geometrical setup, at risk of sounding complicated, that maximizes the surface area to build buildings. Let me rephrase that. You gotta put your pylons in the right spot to have more space for stuff, because you gotta jam as much stuff into that space as possible without getting in the way. And that is what good macro is Protoss. Honestly, especially for me, even at the higher level, that's a lot of it. Like, the games I'm feeling really good are the ones where I'm not struggling to figure out a space for my gateway. Which is, once you get to gateway 7, 8, 9, 10, it starts to become a little scarce. So, knowing what to look for. I gotta stress the probes and pylons on that. Just producing the probes and nailing the pylon locations, and the rest becomes a lot easier after that. Then you can really focus on the timings. Could you do a short rap on probes and pylons? I'm not a rapper. This question may be odd, and the typical response could be just man up. I doubt it. It's just a game, but how would you get over ladder anxiety? Engaging in the ranked environment in spite of having to play the cheesers. Well, the cheesers are the ranked environment. I do actually have a motivational speech on ladder anxiety, but the real answer is have clear goals, and those goals are not necessarily winning the game. Now, losing the cheese is something that's going to happen. The thing is, you can lose 3 games in 10 minutes after winning 3 games in an hour. And you might end up actually net 0 or even positive on MMR. But it's going to feel terrible. And it does. I mean, losing 3 20-minute games is also terrible. But at least those have a lot of different points that you can look to. The summary is, especially on SC2 replay stats, which I'm going to get us a link here. Jimmy. Yes, we'll bring the link up. SC2 replay stats, and this is just a baseline. This isn't every game all the time, but it's a baseline. Has the training center. The training center literally tells you what you're doing worse than people of the next league up. Now, it's not super reliable because right now, to explain the ranked bug, I actually want to spend a moment raging about this. Even though it doesn't really matter, it matters to people. So, what Bobby did is Bobby needs to change. This is the MMR for bronze in America and Europe. Bronze extends from 2,000 to 2,900. And now, if you're not in the know, 2,900 is actually also platinum. So these should be 1s at the very least here. I'm not entirely sure how this happens, but for some reason bronze counts as essentially everything from silver to platinum 2. So it overwrites the gold and most of the silver league. So silver is literally lower than bronze right now. Because for some reason, the leagues are not tied to specific... Well, they are tied to MMR. But wrong. And it was fixed mid-last season. But apparently they didn't save. And their Microsoft computers blue-screened or something, and the new season rolled over, and it took the old version, which had bronze. Yeah, so anyways, there are 3 leagues right now in StarCraft. There's bronze, there's diamond, and master. There's literally like 200 MMR of platinum. Everything under bronze is silver to an extent. And then diamond and master. So you can use this as a gauge, and so far it's been fixed mid-season multiple times. It is incredibly and profoundly fucking enraging that they don't even have the unpaid intern to coerce to figuring out how to fucking save a goddamn database in the 21st goddamn century. They can't, like, have someone's grandson come in and figure out how to fucking fix it, but it's where we are. It is confusing. It is misleading. It is that and more. But here you go. And maybe we'll link this as well. Just use the ranks command or MMR ranks or something in the Twitch chat, at least. Until Blizzard, if ever, figures out how numbers work. Anyways, what was I saying? What started me down here? Oh yes. To just play the cheesers. How do you deal with cheese? It's hard. I think one way is to turn the tables, which, yes, it just perpetuates the problem. But especially if you're, like, for example, you're a Protoss, and you have to deal with early pools, like 12 pool Roach Rush. Well, take it and go do it. Go play Zerg. Go do that early pool, that Roach Rush, and see how it works out for you. Either one, you just keep winning and you get to GM, and congratulations, you teach me. Or somebody shows you how to stop it. You might be like, well, I just kind of executed it badly. Well, were you doing what that player did? I doubt it. So that isn't really the easiest way. And I say this as someone who's played random. And while probably a little bit better as Zerg over the years, but I've played almost as many games in the last 5 years of Terran and Protoss as Zerg, gives you a lot of perspective. You just got to be careful not to get so much perspective you start projecting. Because this is what I do sometimes. This is what I do. I sometimes think that they're going to play like I would in that situation, like 8 Zerglings, go for an early pool, and then I macro it out. I usually use that as a springboard to get a better economy behind it. It's not cheese, it's a designated macro pressure. That's what it is. So sometimes I play Protoss, I'm like, okay, now he's macroing, and then 14 more Zerglings show up, and I'm like, he was not macroing. I was convinced because that's what I would have done. So you got to be like, there's a middle ground. My recommendation is that you try to play at least 5 games a week based on your league, or what your league should be, Bobby. So 5 for bronze, 10 for silver, 15 gold, 20 platinum, 25 diamond. The average game length is between 10 and 15 minutes. Longer, the further down you go. So essentially, I'm saying, like, especially as you get platinum diamond, if you're not willing to put 4 or 5 hours a week in and getting better, well, I mean, do you deserve to be in the top 10% of an incredibly difficult game? Maybe not, is the summary. Like, you can try to cheese your way there, but if you're cheesing, it's going to be even less time per game, but for the most part. So there is like a minimum level of time. Like you can understand the game at a GSL code S level, but that doesn't matter if you have 60 APM and can't build your second pylon on time. So the summary is try to play that baseline amount of games. Go to the training center. I never even got there. I'm sorry, we're meandering around, which is exactly the opposite of what you should do with your build orders. But let's this is for me. Actually, we can go to the account currently on, as Protoss. Let's say there was a longer game. Oh yeah, the Tropical Sacrifice game. I think I played really well. I won convincingly, but I was floating resources. I was supply blocked a lot. And then, so where are these coming from, though? Compared to, because I'm Diamond, I'm trying to get to Masters, so it's comparing it to Masters. Compared to the average Masters Protoss, I produced slightly less workers a minute. I had slightly more unspent resources. So you can look here, you see, like, I'm not far behind. This is not a big deal. But here, idle workers, 0.7 compared to 0.2. That's a mistake. Like, that doesn't sound like a lot, but it's Protoss, so you really shouldn't have too many. But that's definitely a point you can improve on. The gas collection was slow. Unspent minerals was high. And now, you're like, well, this game was weird because of X, Y, or Z. Well, the percentage of all games are weird because of X, Y, or Z. This is just an average. In the training center, I would pick the big ones, I think, for the meta leagues especially, are going to be in mid and late game. Though early game, if you have a big disparity, like you're just not building enough workers, or you have a bunch of idle workers, well, that's something you need to fix. But I'm trusting you to get past that. And then starting at 4 to 8 minutes is workers produced. Try to outdo the next league. Try to... Supply block is an obvious one. Workers produced, supply block time, as well as just resource collection. You can also see, if you'd like, just when you get another Nexus. It's a really convenient one. Like the 4th Nexus I built was a little later than average. I mean, it shows as red as 5 seconds later, but if it's like 4 minutes later, that's a big deal. Like, was there a reason your 3rd or your 4th Nexus was 4 minutes later? Was there a good reason? Or was the reason because you thought you were going to die, and then it was actually just 5 roaches, and you were fine, but you still sat in your base and built 3 batteries instead of just taking a 3rd? Like, what was the reason? So, SC2 replay set numbers. And then, honestly, I don't remember the last time I brought it up, but maybe SC2 replay stats could add, like, some achievements. So you can achieve something, which is more than we could say for the goddamn MMR system. But, this doesn't really solve the problem of cheesers kind of mucking things up. But remember, this is comparing with the average of all players at that level. They're getting cheese too. Okay? So, it's not like this is every single game it's drawing from is just some sanitized, no-rush, 6-minute, 50-probe macro game. No, that's every game. So, statistically, you're not special. I don't care what your mom said. Okay, she told me differently. Beating the average of the next league will get you there eventually. That was a very long-winded answer to that question. But, yeah, off-racing, I'd say a quarter of games. Like, if you play 20 games in a week, maybe 5 of them is the race you're struggling the most with. So, that's my recommendation. But what about Sky Toss? What about it? Of Terran just hate TVT. Yeah, mirror matchups are pretty universally despised. There are few players, pro or otherwise, who are huge fans of them. If you hate them particularly, like, there's no level outside of, like, Bronze League Heroes that there's any race that has more mirror matchups than anything else. Maybe just have a particular cheese or style that, if it goes wrong, whatever. All right. What about Sky Toss? I'm kiting. You're kidding about Sky Toss? Okay. All right, well, most people aren't hallucinating. They're not lost. It was a joke. What, Sky Toss? I mean, sometimes I do agree. But it really depends on the player and the style. And whether they're playing against me and how salty I am. So, like, you know. I'll take another question or two. If we have them, though, I just... Wow, I talked for 5 minutes straight to answer. What about cheesers? I could have done 2 Keenan rushes in that time. What should I have for dinner? Don't eat. Play more games. That's mine. The streamer diet is always good. How do you keep committed and motivated to improve in SC2? Because people watch me. Honestly, it's been so long since I do play off stream, not too much. It's an exhausting game, but also there's no other game. It's ruined me for other games. I will say this: I can't play almost any other game where there's downtime. Like I've been playing Apex Legends. Yeah, I know, right? But Apex Legends, I hate the Battle Royale mode because we're just running around for like 7 minutes. Like, I could have played an entire Age of Empires. I like it, but it feels like it's like 6 minutes before things happen. StarCraft, you just get into it and you're always in it, which is the best and the worst part for some people. But for so long, I've had that. And before I played StarCraft 2, I did World of Warcraft Arena, which does have kind of a similar feel, which is like there's always something happening. It was my WoW Arena partners who got me into StarCraft 2. And I recognize that as even more competitive and more like I say that my favorite genre of game is chaos management. I just can't stick with any other game. Not in the long term. Like I could never see myself playing Rocket League 8 hours a day. 1, because I'm not 15, and 2, because you get bored eventually. StarCraft 2 is like 5 different games in one. You could just split every portion of it off into its own individual game, and it could still, on top of like half a dozen arcade games, which could be standalone, and some of them are. There's just so much going on. So really, there's something about real-time strategy games, and specifically StarCraft 2, that is unmatched in any way by any other genre of game or any game specifically. There is no other RTS game who matches the level of speed and just the polish of StarCraft 2, and there is no other genre of game who feels like you constantly have to manage both micro and macro, I guess. Like FPS games, a lot of the time it comes down to just hit them in the head, right? One way or another, just hit them in the head. That always helps. But there's nothing like that to most extents that works like that in StarCraft. You have to work for it. So both the lack of other options, the obvious financial incentive, as well as just my inherent interest in kind of challenging myself to the point of burnout, potentially, mean I still play StarCraft as many days as there isn't any competition. Yeah, we all got hope for Stormgate, and essentially Stormgate, and you can watch my interviews of the devs, is the next best hope. There's other games coming out, like I saw THQ Nordic had a game called Tempest Rising that looks like a new Command & Conquer, but I don't think that's really going to fill the same niche of the genre. Though it looks really cool, I don't think it fills the same kind of high-speed competitive nature that StarCraft does. Immortal Gates of Pyre looks really good, but it is still pretty far off in development. I do like the ideas they have with it, but like Age of Empires 4 is the sound designers should be hired by any company ever, but it just did not live up to the expectations. It released a year and a half too early and is inferior in many ways to StarCraft 2, in my opinion, of course. Age of Empires 2 it's old. It plays great. It's old. It looks old. I look at videos of myself casting it, because I'll play it for a bit, but it's just old. Like, it's like Brood War, where it's a great game. It's just, StarCraft 2 still holds up. I think the graphics of StarCraft 2, while they don't look bleeding edge, they still look great. And I think it's the kind of style they went for. The kind of pseudo-realistic, but also stylized. Both that and the animations mean it's, at this point, timeless. And if there's no other game, if Stormgate ends up turning into a FPS loot box game for some reason because of that filthy investor money. Or Immortal Gates of Pyre goes full MOBA. Or all these other titles just end up being, I don't know, more Command and Conquer-esque as opposed to Blizzard RTS. Well, then I guess we're still playing StarCraft. And that's how it is. No matter how many times Bobby forgets to save the database, no matter how many single-digit number of maps per year we play, essentially down to when people are no longer hosting tournaments, which I think is a long way into the future, even if they are of reduced scope. So that is just how it is. There's no competition. No real competition, in my opinion. But I look forward to there being more. With that said. For what it's worth, you don't look burned out. That's the secret. I'm always burned out. It's at the point... Well, I'm not burned out because what I burned out was my voice. Which, I burned out my voice because I wasn't burned out. Like, I guess I'm just getting old. As physically, I can't keep up with the amount of interest I have in making content and stuff. So, I just gotta plan my builds better. I gotta be a little more focused on what content we're doing instead of just trying to do 8 hours of salty streaming a day. Maybe we vary it a bit. So, do you still play any WoW arenas? No, I quit WoW. So my WoW arena partners, the day after StarCraft 2 came out, I went up to GameStop, like the box, not the stock, the box store, and I bought a box, and then I canceled my WoW sub because I was poor within like 2 days because it was clearly better. So that is that, and that was the end of that. So, with that said, and with that maybe inspiring you to do the right thing, for the price of half of your month of WoW Classic, that, you know what, I will solve this for you. Let me end on this. This was actually a great tip from Loco for avoiding the nostalgia of World of Warcraft. So, World of Warcraft Classic, Wrath of the Lich King, I don't know if it's out, if it's coming out, either way. But a WoW sub, let alone the price of the expansion, it's $15. A lot of people have nostalgia. Wrath of the Lich King was the expansion I played almost all of. I loved it. It's not going to be the same. Blizzard is way more terrible than you even knew. For half the price, you can buy my announcer pack in SC2. And no, I got paid straight up, so I don't get anything from it. But it's half the price of a WoW sub for a single month. And if you really need the nostalgia, you don't actually need to play. You just need to listen to the Grizzly Hills soundtrack on YouTube. And then with that, you can relive all the nostalgia without having to realize that now you're in your 30s, maybe even 40s. All your friends, well, they're old too. The schedule, you can't just stay up all goddamn night playing WoW. It doesn't have the same impact. It's not the same. And you feel way worse about supporting that company. So, with that said, buy the Winter Announcer Pack. Check out the Winter Gaming YouTube channel for more stuff. And I'm taking suggestions as well. But I have a lot of backlog of stuff that just wouldn't work on Winterstarcraft. And I hope you enjoyed what ended up being, well, this is quite a rambling end to the Low APM Challenge Diamond 2 Protoss Edition. We got Zerg coming up. That's going to be harder, I think. We'll find out. Thank you for watching. Good luck, have fun. I hope I made your day a little bit better. See you next time. Stay tuned. Jimmy, cut.